Kiahem, Office Beach Office 5522, Crapsit Hill. We will have the third part of our conversation after the gin time, a delicious microwave lasagna, and then we will become kind of a mutant. So we will have a conversation here. This part kind of observing the effort that we are doing. It's a preventive control considering a model as catching up. It means that we can observe failures and avoid the integration of these failures, considering the possibility as fields acting inside these failures, combined or interconnected with others, sometimes regular areas, or with events that trend to be regular, and we avoid the complementarity by fails. It means that if we have this as intention, as something illegal, we are kind of acting inside your criminal intention as a dissuasory police. I always recommended to have, authorities acting with special legitimacy to have the proper control as dissuasory police. Then we observe that we had this model at the very first moment, considering the perception as the bank system in Brazil. The bank system in Brazil, and we could have the development and present an argument to overtake the control of this bank system. And then we will check something which was this explanatory note saying that the cooperative level can, help a lot the offender. We accept inside this 33 trillion charge influence and, information, data asset, informers, a lot of things. Not only money. It's a model for security, our stability, our peace. Then we could have the international procedure, which indeed is the fields for comparative measurement. As you can observe here, we have division at conjuncture, consider logistics, communication, and finance. Logistics bring to the supply chain, communication, specific providers, finances, budget. All instrument as transference. Logistic transference thing by a circuit, named supply chain. Communication by a provider, which is a gateway of communication, transfer of signal, receiver of signal, pattern named communication process. Finances, I have the budget, cash flow, in and out, income and outcome if it's an investment, debt and credit if it's a regular financial operation. And this is the idea. We have the division of conjuncture considering the public sectors, the corporative sector, local or segment, public and corporate. But sometimes we have international players acting on it. Since 2012, for sure we did Olympics, FIFA 14, COVID-19. Our national players didn't offer the, corrective intervention claimed all the time, at least twice by the OECD. The international player can have this scapegoat things, have a minor consequence and fuck the entire thing up against the local lenient behavior, considering the institution division segmented from the top, punishment against specific variables respecting our constitution. If it goes inside a criminal scam, it's a criminal, international, will be sent to a boat. Then we'll check something which is the cognitive bias, which is a problem for everybody, especially when you have the local departments doing the modification of data and sometimes having the migration of modified data by specific departments considering specific global companies or a few number of providers, able to offer this kind of service. And this cognitive bias will impact the make decision procedure in global scale. For instance, if you have to set a strike right now as a nuclear strike against one specific area full of criminals, the cognitive bias will impact civilians and will be something terrible for your institution. So we have the new tracer as the new T program language, considering the macro environment which we can observe if we have the duplicity as signal or stimulus. And then we will have the interval set, and we work this with 12 years old as interval notation. Then we will have the depuration and clusters of information, considering, for instance, the Venn diagram. And then we will check. I will make the chart to make things much more easy. 1, 1, 0, 0. You know, fuse area will be this area here in the middle. It means that we have this fuse area. You know, this fuse area, you must understand if it is the variable positive 1 intervalo negative 1, all wrong, or the value 0, 0, negative 1, which is an informer, a criminal that turns into an informer should be not suffer, for instance, a death penalty or a capital punishment by the regular fields of legitimacy to do this. And then they will try to be at this place to avoid the punishment inside the criminal organization that has no legitimacy to do this because they are against the law. Or if it's an infiltrated agent that you place it there, then you will have him or her or it on present time by a machine that you have a lot of them. Then we will have the next movement, considering the cognitive bias, which is the idea that the capitalism is a system for exploitation. It's not true. This is a cognitive bias, but became kind of a rule of thunder, because indeed the capitalism as a system is a system supported and based on the productive activity. It means all effort that you do to receive money and buy things offered by this system. And if you have $5 to have an hamburger, you will keep working, and then you have a hamburger with cheese, name it cheeseburger, and you have more money, and will have the payment to have more elaborated things, more complex things. And this will set the structural design of an entire productive system, which is the lineup as hamburger. Then you could get the pattern as organization, for instance, as McDonald's, despite their real activities, the real estate market, not selling or offer hamburger. Then we will check that I have my relation here, which is a person that is offering something, and you will have someone here which will receive something. For instance, here is the research. The research is offering something to the NATO, and this is the idea as I'm offering my effort to you, but a credit and cover the debt that I'm, having on present time. I have the debt, you have the credit, you here, and we have the price. In general, this operation has a third person here, which is the bank. The bank, we must support and believe, and the bank must be very sure about this premise, which is the fiduciary element. Because I will put my expectation as, transference of the debt on present time to the bank that be uh, will have a space opened to this receiver of my effort, put a credit inside the bank, and the credit is a debit, is something that you must cover the credit. Then this guy will put this credit, which is the expectation at the bank, The bank will cover my expectation as payment, and this guy here will receive his or her or its expectation as the utilitarian value that he need, which is something mandatory at this time. For instance, the development of a language to prevent the cognitive bias that will impact the global and major decisions, considering the fraud scams going inside institutions. We must have a database sigma to do not have the dependence as unique source of information, and we will cut, for instance, the positive one in a negative one, which is criminal at the police department and the financial system doing this kind of hedges because you have the database sigma and the 32 trillion charge, considering that we are accepting the influence, the information, and a lot of things. Then, if you are an offender, the public body get Brazil, considering the entire global system, we are kind of the owner of you all. Then we will have this like this. I'm putting my expectation as payment inside the bank. The bank is receiving the transference as credit to cover my expectation by the resource at the bank, and the difference of both will be the spread that will satisfy the expectation of the bank, because the bank is a friend of no one except themselves sometimes, and in not many cases they do the self-destruction, especially when we have problems like the Swiss uh, bank system, full of problems. Then this will close the operation. It means that I will receive the payment as money. You know, this guy will receive the value as something delivered. You know, the payment as thing is the liquidity money, because it's something that is quantifying my effort, and the value offered it indeed it's a service. It's the investment saving curve. It means that this guy now at the same operation in a different moment, resulting change result, did an investment between the bank considering the value offered by me. It means that this research has a value, at least as a formal thing. And if, for instance, this guy didn't have the payment, I'm the owner of the debt, which is something uh, exchangeable as a credit that I can claim if has this acceptable situation by this guy here. In other words, I can be the owner of the NATO. Let's suppose it's something, for example, but it's something very close to this. And this is the idea of an agreement, you know. Of course, that the NATO has a big head, very, efficient in things that he is doing, especially things that he is facing. And I believe that this effort helped him a lot. We are not claiming money or something like this, because we have this charge and we said this as a Kevin Florence model, a model by goodwill, by free will, considering our security. And our security must go in a very first moment against things that we have inside our institution, especially the international institution that got combined with many environments and set this idea, which is the presentation as Fibonacci pattern. The Fibonacci pattern, as you can observe, is the kind of thing that claim the preventive control to avoid the integration of the Brazilian public budget, which on present time is under control by segmentation, by a lot of things, and we are expecting the charge and the conviction against the offenders. with the global system, because it will be something terrible have the authorization of financial bubble and the big one like Brazil with all criminal heads inside acting in the same way they did at the creativity account on our public companies like the Petrobras and others. You can request this information with them and with the development bank named BNDAS, because they are all inside the public budget and we are charging the public budget, you know, and the prison is a guarantee. Have a nice night.